While here at home, Vice President J.D. Vance heading to Minneapolis to meet with local leaders as anti-ICE protesters continue in the Twin Cities.
Garrett Tenney joins us from the Twin Cities as it awaits the Vice President's arrival. Garrett.
Hey, good morning, y'all. The White House says the Vice President will be hosting a roundtable with local leaders, and the focus of that roundtable will be on restoring law and order in Minnesota. That's what the administration says it's been trying to do with more than 3,000 federal agents here who are facing stiff opposition and harassment from the community almost everywhere they go. The Vice President's visit also comes as the Department of Justice is investigating that anti-ICE protest at a church in the Twin Cities Sunday. The administration has promised to hold those involved accountable. Here's Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Religious liberty is under siege in our country right now, and we are not going anywhere until those people who did those acts are held accountable. Minnesota is important because it is sending a message to the entire country that Donald Trump is going to protect every city in this country. We're going to protect every house of worship.
One of the organizers of that protest, though, says she's not hiding and completely stands by the protest that shut down that worship service.
Personally, I will not be gaslit by the Trump administration. They are trying to turn a peaceful, nonviolent demonstration into a crime.
The Vice President's visit also comes a day before activists are calling for a statewide shutdown to protest ICE, with a rally outdoors when temperatures will be as low as the -40s. Back to y'all.
All right, thanks,
Wow.
Garrett.
So, it's going to be interesting to see, by the way, if protesters turn out to be outside of Vice President Vance's visit. But, it's important for context to understand the reason why ICE is in Minneapolis is because it is a sanctuary jurisdiction that prohibits local law enforcement and authorities from cooperating with ICE. And so the murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, the violent illegal alien criminals that have been protected, running free on the streets of cities like Minneapolis, ICE is going in to try and get them and deport them. That was President Trump's promise to the nation, to close the border, which he's done. 8 straight months of zero releases, and to remove these individuals.
I just love these idiot lawmakers, from the mayor to the governor, who say, I'm really proud of how peaceful and how much love is out there. Does this look like love to you? Is this love to you when you get in front of a law enforcement official and don't let them go to a convenience store, or you work in that convenience store and you don't serve them? Is that the love that Minneapolis is giving out? Does that look like a lovely thing to do, jumping on a law enforcement officer and then claiming some other you're under duress or that you have a disability? This is absolutely an embarrassment. If people in Minneapolis could see the way they're being, could see themselves and see this video and are proud, they're living in a different country.
It was about a week ago, you interviewed Mayor Fry, and this is a portion of that interview. It was on January 14th. Listen to Griff talking to the mayor.
We have a separation ordinance in the city, and you know what that ordinance says? It says that I want our limited numbers of police officers focusing on keeping people safe, arresting perpetrators of violent crimes, stopping car thefts from taking place. That's what I want them focusing on. You know what I don't want them focusing on? Hunting down a dad that just dropped his kids off at daycare, is about to go work a 12-hour shift, who happens to be from Ecuador. That guy makes our city a better place.
There's two sides to this story. You mentioned an Ecuadorian migrant. Are you familiar with Victoria Eileen Harwell? An Ecuadorian illegal immigrant in August of 2024, driving drunk, crashed head-on into Victoria Harwell, killing her. You call it a separation ordinance. Why not just cooperate and make it safer for everyone involved? The community, the officers, and even the migrants.
My position here is pretty straightforward, and that's this. If you commit a crime, if you commit fraud, if you commit a carjacking or a murder, you should be investigated, charged, prosecuted, held accountable, and yes, arrested and put in jail. What I am saying is that a lot of the people that ICE is picking up right now in our city are not a problem for Minneapolis.
That was a great point, Griff, because why not just cooperate? If you don't want the dad who's here illegally but doing everything right, if you don't want him to get arrested, then why not work with ICE and say, give me the list of everyone that you want to come after in Minneapolis, and we'll go through it. And if they're a pedophile, if they're a rapist, if they're abusing their spouse, we're going to go and get those guys. Let's cooperate. And then if there is dad on the list that's here illegally, maybe there's an argument for put him at the bottom of the list if we have time, or let's investigate him. Let's see if he's committed a crime. But they won't cooperate. Instead, they're causing this anarchy. People are angry. They're standing up to the police officers, and they're mad when police officers have to use the pepper spray or whatever spray they're using. But the reason is they're outnumbered. They have these groups that are massive, hundreds of people that come up to a few of these ICE agents. What are they supposed to do? They have to defend themselves.
Well, here's the thing. When you go, it picks up a dad who's with his kid, do you think we're that stupid? ICE is there to pick up illegal immigrant criminals, and if they have, a lot of times criminals have children. That just like if you're driving drunk and you have a kid in the back, I feel bad for the kid, but the driver's the one that should be blamed. So they don't walk around picking up dads because they look Hispanic. That's what he wants you to think, and that's why these people are exercised and getting paid to go out on the streets. So that's why these lawmakers are the biggest embarrassment in America right now. Sadly, I think they know exactly what they're doing, and they're proud of it. These people are not protesting peacefully. We all know what they've done, and we remember what you guys did with George Floyd. The other thing we have is you're trying to not talk about the fraud in Minneapolis, the massive fraud to the tune of billions. One of the few people who are not from Somalia that has been convicted, one of the 74, is Amy Bach. She's going to spend about 30 years in prison because she took millions. But she's also speaking as part of the investigation. Here's a little of what she had to say about what that mayor, the attorney general, and governor had to know.
You're looking at all this time behind bars. Why do you think some of the other people who are higher up in the state of Minnesota haven't been held accountable like you have?
That's the big question, is why aren't they being held accountable? As it sits today, I am still the only person in Minnesota that identified fraud, stopped fraud, said these claims are fraudulent, and denied payment for them. Yet I'm the only one that was indicted. I'm the only one sitting in jail.
How high up do you think the message went that there was fraud? Like, do you think it made its way to the governor's office?
I struggle to believe it didn't. I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. If they weren't, shame on them for having a system that their lower level staff don't bring something of this level to their attention.
Yeah, the governor and also the attorney general, Keith Ellison, this question is a perfect one to put directly to him. He is responding to this, saying this, treating the words of a convicted fraudster like Amy Bach as though they have any credibility is shocking, and running a story based on them is irresponsible journalism. Bach was convicted in federal court by the Department of Justice of masterminding the theft of $250 million from the federal government. She is a liar, fraudster, and manipulator of the highest order who has never acknowledged or accepted her guilt. Now she's on a media tour to deflect her guilt onto others instead of finally taking responsibility for the fraud scheme she ran. Her claim about Attorney General Ellison is a lie without a shred of evidence behind it.
Remember, the program that got abused is called Meals Act. And guess who put that in front and center in 2020? Ilhan Omar. Did she really not know anything was going on? Let's find out. $250 million was stolen, which he was talking about. Only $75 million has been recovered. So a lot of questions.
So
still.
Alexis McAdams, great job on getting that interview. Yeah, maybe you can't put a lot of stock behind this lady. She was the mastermind, the ringleader behind feeding our future and scamming them out of a lot of money. She was found with, she was spending her money on luxury cars and designer handbags and property.
And there's pictures of it, too.
And she got caught. Yes. Okay. So, but the mayor is saying, why are you interviewing her? There's no credibility there. Well, we interview people in the mob. We interview people that are serial killers. It's still part of the story. It's very interesting to hear her side of the story, even though we know she's behind bars. But the big picture is, how did all this fraud happen? And we're talking about it now, but these local leaders want to focus so much on what's happening with ICE so they don't have to talk about fraud and they can deflect.
Of course, you talk to people you can plea in order to get the most important people. It's the way they do police work, and he knows that.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.